Very good. Thank you, Dominic. Yeah, and yourself?
All is well. All is well. Thank
Good.
you.
Good.
Thank you so
Good.
much
Good.
for joining us for the Horology Forum 2019 Throwbacks. You took part in the Apocalypse 2, which is so apt right now. You know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you the first statement you made back in 2019.
Yeah.
I think, interesting, as Benoit said, the context is totally different today, but we mustn't be complacent. We can't assume, and we cannot go on thinking that there will be a crisis or anything like that. We are not vaccinated against that.
We're
All right.
not vaccinated. Yeah, yeah.
So
My goodness, was that?
that was so. When we were rewatching it, we were all like, "Oh my gosh, Stephen is a prophet of some kind." You know?
Yeah, unfortunately, a prophet of doom.
Yeah, a Grim Reaper. So,
Oh my goodness. Okay.
how prepared? This is my question. So, how prepared was Greubel Forsey for Corona, as per your?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's interesting because when we were talking about that, I can't remember the context exactly of the question, but certainly we'd already announced that we would not take part in SIHH 2020, which then became Watches and Wonders. So during the autumn of 2019, we made a kind of what we called a world tour. And there we already talked to our partners and some collectors, and we actually, following that, we were able to have a good vision for 2020 already, which in other years we would have done at SIHH of the January following. So again,
Part of the Illuminati that slips you these little tidbits and
yeah, well, we hope so. I mean, somebody was looking at us benevolently, and so because I remember that we're talking with Robert the other day that when with Robert said we must leave SIHH for 2020, and it's like, wow, this is a crazy idea, initially. But then as we started to look at it and we saw how our way of working has evolved over the last 4 or 5 years, we realized that actually it could work. And so because we don't work in a like a major brand with a big volume, it was something that we could imagine a scenario of a world tour. We meet people as we had done traditionally. And because we work with so few timepieces, around 100 a year, it's something that we reckoned that was certainly a good, it was a good gamble to say let's redefine the way we work, be closer to our collectors, and and work towards a new way of working.
Do you want to go into detail about that new way of working, or is it top secret?
No, well, I mean, it's part of it, with the world tour, this idea that we actually, we can, with less than 100 or about 100 watches a year, we can actually meet all of our collectors during the year. So, it is actually, it's actually physically possible. So that was a key element. And, there aren't many brands who can do that, I think, because we're not looking for big volume. This is not, we're not that commercially oriented in that way. And we can't make more watches, we're physically limited by the size of our team.
Okay, so either way, because of how small and intimately you guys work alone, you were able to be prepared for the situation where interact with the larger public either way.
Yeah, I mean, we don't ignore a wider audience, and the watch enthusiast community we embrace, and we want to be out there and be able to meet them. So an event like Dubai Watch Week is fantastic, and the Horology Forum, where we can be more accessible to a wider audience. But then when we're focusing more closely, we need to meet our collectors at some point, or have some contact. So that's the philosophy behind it, is to work very closely together with them, and then during the year do a number of smaller events which are regional. So that's the concept. Of course, now we've had to further evolve that a bit into a more virtual sort of format. It's been an interesting, it's been very challenging, of course, and it's terrible, the impact for people in terms of the health issues, and those who've suffered from the virus, directly, and everything. And the economic fallout is something which, on a wider scale, is it's really going to be challenging, but on the other side, we've been able to do a few sort of individual presentations and things in a different way, thanks to the tools that we have. We can talk now. So it's 15 years ago this wouldn't have been possible. So
And luckily for your preparation, I guess slipping into this new world was just like going forward as per your plan. So,
well, I mean, not exactly. I mean, clearly, we, because the Swiss government we had to shut the workshop for a month completely, basically. So, so there are things which nobody was prepared for.
okay.
But then, during that time, so we prepared our startup scenario and how we could do that, and then we were able to get a few people in there towards the end of April, and build up slowly. But it's much more complex, I think, for everybody to get things going again. We weren't ready for everything, but we have been able to keep in contact with our collectors, with our partners, and be there to listen and exchange with the collectors, some of who have more time available because obviously they can't travel. Yeah, it's it's a very challenging time, but we have to look for opportunity in that.
Amazing. I'll go on to the second point now.
Sure. Okay.
If you go back 200 years, if you wanted your likeness, you had to get a portrait painter to paint that. And then if you go from the 1840s, we discovered photography with silver nitrate film. And logically, that would have eliminated it completely, because you could reproduce everything, but it didn't. And so then if you come forward to the 90s, 2000s now, and our fantastic digital photography, that we're all expert photographers suddenly, this logically should have completely eliminated painting and but you talk really, to a photographer who's really passionate and they want a really superb photo, they will prepare it all with the digital stuff, and then they will shoot proper film, because you don't have that pixelization of things which we get with technology. So so I think the logic is there, and there are examples that give courage and hope to us to be able to continue creating for a good while to come.
As he said, ironically, in today's hindsight, in life after Corona, do you see traditional ways of creating finally having to adapt?
To a new situation.
You know how they say that life after Corona, nothing will be the same. So
well, I mean, we don't really know where we're going after this, do we? But I mean, in our workshops, in our atelier, the decoration department is perhaps where people are the closest together. So obviously there we've had to install like perspex screens, for them, and and we've put in place more strict measures than the government require. So so we insist on wearing a mask when moving in the workshop, and people shouldn't take their pause in their coffee break in groups and so on. So certainly in this period things have changed a bit, but I think also from our collectors, I don't know, in terms of the way we work, certainly home office working, distance working is something we hadn't always envisaged, but in part it certainly could be possible for quite a few sectors of our activity. We've done a lot of Skype or Zoom over the last 3 months, and so it's with the technology, it's there's really some interesting tools there. But for us, I think the fundamentals remain there, and we've even seen a reinforcement of collectors coming to us and wanting to get more into the traditional cultural aspects of fine watchmaking, and understand more and learn more. Even if there is a revolution in many ways, hopefully we'll be able to continue delivering surprises to the collectors and the watch community, over and over, and continue on our plan. Because we've got a vision of different things we would like to do going forward. They all take time, and it remains our worst enemy.
Then what about the artistic? Because you know how artisans and artists, their processes are so particular that once you adapt them, even if it's a difference between a group tea break or perspex glass or a mask, it could ruin the mood of an artist potentially. Are you seeing that danger, or?
I mean, longer term it could. I think it's interesting because some people have said that after 6 weeks of a new situation, human activity changes, but I mean, on a not necessarily on a positive side. I mean, we've seen in Switzerland in the last 2 weeks an opening up, including the frontiers, partially, certainly, because before that all the Swiss frontiers were closed. And unfortunately we see that in a way that people go back to their habits. So so there are things which you can't erase, which are in our culture. And so even in an artistic, creative form, on a positive note, I think that we will always find a way creatively, so if we're doing a brainstorming, we brainstormed for a couple of different projects. So we can sketch them and just hold up or put it on the screen, scan it, and share it like that. And actually, we've been able to have quite an interesting and very dynamic and agile approach to working through to find the right specification for a project, which traditionally, because you would always do that through physical meetings, which you have to kind of plan in advance, and everybody to be in the office. Suddenly, even if you're outside, once you fix the meeting, you can have a meeting, a distant Skype. So you can have 5 or 7 people in 7 different locations. So I think it could be a more agile approach to creation, which can come from this.
So even more is being created, actually, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, again, Robert and I have to rely on our team to kind of rein us in a bit, because we've got so many ideas, and so for them to say, well, wait a minute, this is going to take time, and we have to do this and this, but the creativity is ever present. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's perhaps a very personal thing. I mean, some people maybe need a certain environment for that. Robert, of course, has his own method of working for that. It's where he has an external office. So for him, that hasn't changed anything, because he wasn't going to the workshops every day to be able to create and follow and the aesthetic, artistic side. And for me, I've been traveling a lot traditionally, you know, over the last few years. So actually, to be in one place, but working at a distance is also quite similar. You know, I mean, you know, we've already been reviewing projects, you know, doing distance operations, but it was more punctual than having to really gear that up to another level.
Oh, that's so pro. Well, touch wood. That was it. That was the last. That was it.
Okay.
So I didn't manage to take a lot of your time, but I got a lot of your wisdom. So that's efficient.
No, it's you know, I mean, it's kind of you know, Robert and I, you know, as watchmakers, and with our team, who were very passionate as well. You know, they were also in touch with us, saying, you know, can we get back to the workshop? We want to get on, you know, for all sorts of different reasons. I mean, it's, you know, it's a totally unprecedented situation we've all been through. With the, you know, we have amazing tools today. I mean, it's completely transformed the way that we can continue working together. That's a really positive thing.
Let's see. Yeah.
Okay, super. That's great. Dominic, thank you very much. All the best. Have a great weekend and a great summer. Okay.
Have a great weekend, and I hope your fam is safe, keeping safe, stays safe, and
yeah.
have a good
Bye
day.
now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.